The Apple Watch Hermes is confusing. It's more expensive than a standard Apple Watch, even though it looks and feels exactly the same, and it has less features than the Apple Watch Ultra, yet it's more expensive as well. So by the end of this video, I'll tell you the main differences that the Apple Watch Hermes actually has. Is the Apple Watch Hermes 4? What's the point of the Apple Watch Hermes? The big master plan that Apple actually has with this device. And 4, should anybody buy the Apple Watch Hermes? Alright, so let's get started talking about the differences with the Apple Watch Hermes. First things first, the watch itself, the physical watch itself, there's no differences on the casing. Starting with that beautiful unboxing experience that they've made is honestly something pretty awesome. You start with that beautiful orange and traditional Hermes look, and once you actually unbox it, you actually get a couple of surprises. Number 1, you get a sport band. This is the orange Hermes sport band that is only available when purchasing an Apple Watch Hermes. You can't buy this band separately. What's different about it is that you actually have the Hermes printing on the buckle of the actual sport band. Take note, something kind of upsetting about this sport band is that it only comes with a medium and large band for the 44mm Apple Watch, which is kind of upsetting because, you know, I've got pretty small wrists, and the 40mm, the smaller Apple Watch, I don't really like it because it's way too small on my wrist, but I still like the big Apple Watch with the smaller bands. And for some reason, Hermes doesn't really give you that. It's kind of weird because when you buy a standard Apple Watch, Apple gives you the small and medium version and the medium and large version, but it doesn't really happen here. So I was quite upset about that. The actual casing of the watch, so the actual watch, doesn't look any different than a stainless steel Apple Watch Series 8. But here's the thing, on the back of the actual watch, it actually has Hermes written on that. But other than that, there's no physical changes. The main changes are inside of the Apple Watch Hermes because we get exclusive, the most exclusive watch faces ever on an Apple Watch. The brand new watch face for this year is the 𝗦𝗍𝗱𝗶𝗹 watch face. The 𝗦𝗍𝗱𝗶𝗹 comes from the company's roots. It's customizable and you can change it to a couple colors, and it comes alive whenever you tap it. The horse kind of does like a winky wink. It's fun. Then my personal favorite, the Hermes watch face. It's got a super traditional design and looks exactly the same as Hermes watches, which I absolutely love. I mean, this is currently the one that I'm rocking right now. I love this look. It just looks so sleek. We've also got the Hermes Circuit H, which looks amazing on that edge-to-edge display on the Series 8. Why does the Apple Watch Hermes exactly exist? And if you think about it, it's kind of Apple's big master plan for the Apple Watch itself. Let me tell you about today's sponsor, which is the Nebula Cosmos Max. It is an extremely beautiful, portable 4K projector that gets up to 2,400 lumens. If you don't know what that is, it gets very bright. It looks amazing, and it has this handle which makes it extremely portable. It gets up to 150 inches, which is very big. It's got incredible sound quality with Dolby Atmos audio and Android TV built in. My favorite thing about the Cosmos Max is that you don't need to buy anything separate. You don't need external speakers that sound better because the Cosmos Max already has incredible sounding speakers. Video quality is incredible. You don't need an Apple TV, even though you can connect one. You don't need it because you've already got Android TV, so with Disney Plus, HBO, Netflix. So you've got the all-in-one perfect theater setup. So if you guys were interested on the Cosmos Max, hit the link down in the description. And now, let's put the Apple Watch Ultra as an example. The Apple Watch Ultra was not taken seriously by the professionals, by the triathletes, by people who run as a profession, all the adventurers. It wasn't taken seriously by them, right? That's why they went to Garmin. Until Apple released the Apple Watch Ultra, and it totally changed the game. And for them, they started taking the Apple Watch seriously. Thank you to the Ultra. Here's the thing with the fashion industry. The fashion industry doesn't really care about tech products unless it really does make sense. And that's why Apple released the Apple Watch Hermes in the first place. The Apple Watch Hermes was a fashion item instead of just a standard tech product. Thanks to its collaboration with Hermes, they got into the main cover of China's Vogue magazine, which was huge. I mean, that was a big moment. And then, you know, Vanity Fair, Elle, and Vogue started covering it. It basically transformed from just a tech product to a luxury item, because the Apple Watch Hermes isn't a standard tech product. Even though it might look and feel the same as a standard Apple Watch, it's a luxury item. And that's something crucial for Apple, for the Apple Watch success. The Apple Watch wouldn't have been the same without its collaboration with Apple Watch and Hermes. So Apple definitely wins a lot collaborating with Hermes, but how about Hermes collaborating with Apple? What do they win? Well, they basically win because the Apple Watch is the most sold watch in the world. Not the most smartwatch in the world, but the most sold watch in the entire world. So it's basically a win-win for both brands. But here's the thing, does the customer win? If you buying an Apple Watch Hermes, is it actually any good? Well, here's the thing. I might say something crazy, but the Apple Watch Hermes is not overpriced. Now hold on. Hold your lucky horses before you go down there. How are you saying the Apple Watch Hermes? I don't know if you've ever visited a Hermes store, but Hermes is really expensive. It's ridiculously expensive. Like, you can get tiny little keychains for like 800 bucks, 900 bucks. I mean, it's a luxury brand, right? It's not a standard brand. It's a luxury brand which sells luxury items. For you to be able to buy a $500 Apple Watch band from Hermes is actually really fairly priced. It's actually one of the cheapest products that Hermes sells, which I'm not saying it's cheap, I'm just saying it's not overpriced. Because the best thing that you get while buying an Apple Watch Hermes is actually not the Apple Watch Hermes, it's actually the band that comes with it. It's extremely good quality. Extremely good quality. It's actually not made by a machine, it's actually made by a physical human stitching handmade. Since it's a luxury item and since they don't have like crazy demand, they can do that. Hermes can do that. Now let me answer the next question. What's the future like for the Apple Watch Hermes? The biggest problem that I see is what Apple has done with Nike. Apple previously sold the Apple Watch Nike version, but Apple has stopped doing that, and Apple has actually given those exclusive watch faces from the Nike only version to everybody by just installing watchOS 9. So now you can buy a Nike sport band, but you can't buy the actual Nike Apple Watch. So I'm really curious next year what Apple will do with the Apple Watch Hermes. Will they do the same thing? Will they give out the watch faces from Hermes to everybody? Or maybe this is just my personal idea. It would be very cool if you wouldn't give it out to everybody, but somebody that buys only the Apple Watch band, they would get access to the watch face. I definitely think that's something definitely very interesting. With the release of the Apple Watch Ultra, the pricing is kind of weird because the Apple Watch Ultra is a lot better in terms of specs and everything that the Apple Watch Ultra does. It's so much better than the Apple Watch Hermes. I mean, at the end of the day, this thing is only an Apple Watch Series 8 with a couple watch faces and a separate band that you can buy separately. So the actual watch itself doesn't do anything differently apart from the watch faces than a standard Series 8. So it's kind of weird for me that the Apple Watch Ultra is so much better, yet it's cheaper. Yet this thing is more expensive. You know what I mean? So the final question is the Apple Watch Hermes worth it? Well, if you don't really know what Hermes is and what it represents, you might think that this is literally the most overpriced product of all time. But if you do know Hermes and what it represents, then yeah. Because at the end of the day, I'll tell you the same thing that I told you guys when I reviewed the Apple Watch Ultra. With the Apple Watch Ultra, it's a diving watch, it's a sports watch, but at the end of the day, it's an Apple Watch. It's a very good Apple Watch. And for me, my main conclusion and my main takeaway from the Apple Watch Hermes is that it's a luxury item. It's a very beautiful luxury item, but it's also an Apple Watch. An Apple Watch that has those activity rings, working out, Apple Pay, it opens my house, it's customizable, I get maps directions, heart rate, ECG, blood oxygen, emergency service, listening to music on the go with AirPods, having Siri on my wrist, and so much more. So yeah, apart from a luxury item, it's also an Apple Watch.